Hello and welcome to That's So Auburn. I'm Nancy Backus, Mayor for the City of Auburn, and today's episode is a very special one for me. I'm joined by City of Auburn staff member who has dedicated nearly 4 decades of her life to serving Auburn's older adults and helping shape one of the most welcoming and meaningful places in our community, and that's the Auburn Senior Activity Center. Radine Lozier began her career with the City of Auburn in June of 1986, right after graduating from Central Washington University with a degree in Gerontology. What started as her first grown-up job became a life's calling. Over the past 40 years, Radine has helped create programs, community, connection, and care for generations of Auburn seniors and their families. But if you ask Radine, she'll be the first to tell you that while she spent her career serving older adults, they were the ones who taught her how to live. Through life's biggest moments, joy, grief, celebration, change, the people of the Senior Center have been part of her story, just as she's been part of theirs. Now, as Radine prepares to, I can't believe this, retire from the City of Auburn, and in her own words, transition into her new role as a Senior Center participant, we wanted to take time to celebrate her remarkable career, the lives she's touched, and the legacy she leaves behind. Radine, thank you so much for agreeing to do this today. It's really meaningful for me to have you here.
Thank you, Mayor.
So let's just start at the beginning, shall we? So you joined the city in 1986, and I'm going to be telling your age, but I think it's okay.
Totally fine.
All right, because you started when you were 21 years old. When you first took the job at the Auburn Senior Center, what did you think you were stepping into?
So I was very intentional about what I wanted to do. Gerontology is a pretty specific thing.
Degree, yes.
Correct. And I had done my internship, which was required a whole quarter, almost like a student teacher. You were required to do an internship for gerontology for a whole quarter. And I did mine at the Renton Senior Center. So one of my classes, we toured different senior centers in the west side of the mountain. I thought Renton was the coolest thing I'd ever seen, and I did my internship there. Just so happened that their director retired and their programmer became the director. So the whole time I did my internship, there was no programmer.
Oh, my gosh.
So it was baptism by fire. I mean, I had to...
So you created programming too?
That's what I did for my internship. The programmer was there, but then he had just became the director of the senior center. So he needed, after someone that had left after like 30 years, so he needed to concentrate on that new role. It takes a while to hire somebody. They hadn't hired somebody yet. And so that was
there was intern Radine.
Intern Radine, yes. And then just coincidentally, the person they hired was the programmer from the Auburn Senior Center. And so her position came open.
So you traded
and
locations.
I applied for it. And it was a better fit, too, because Renton was much larger at that time, and their center was a lot larger. And Auburn's was smaller for this newbie, closer to my home, things like that. And I never looked back.
Now, the senior center that we're in now was the Auburn Library when I was growing up.
It was the Auburn Library when I started, too. And if you wanted a photocopy, you had to drive to City Hall from Les Cove Park.
No.
Or if it was an emergency, you could go next door to the library, give them 10 cents, and they would make a copy for you.
So you had a petty cash box, I'm assuming.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, the days.
Yes. And so you would have to I would go over to the library, and which is funny because it was a city library. I don't know why we had to pay 10 cents. We were all the same. But it had to be like important. And there was a lot of different rules back then that are different. If you were going to be photocopying more than 50 things You could not do it on a photocopier. It had to go to the print shop. And if you were doing something that other people doing city business at City Hall thought was frivolous, anything parks would have been frivolous because it's recreation.
Oh, my.
You would have to step out of line. And the photocopier that Parks had at City Hall was shared with legal.
Oh, and of course, legal is always going to get top billing, right?
So when you did go and have to photocopy 49 or less of something, you had to plan that you were going to get bumped off.
So an hour at least.
Yeah, because it was extra. It wasn't like city business.
Oh, I'm so glad that we've changed our ways. I mean, legal is still important, but
of course.
so is parks, and especially
Yes.
our seniors.
It was just different.
That is so funny. Back in 1986, and still, you didn't even have your own photocopier.
No photocopier, and obviously no computers. And
No.
that part's always been funny to me because people now, colleagues that I have that are younger, they literally will look at me and say, "How did you work?" And they give me a bad time all the time because I do everything on paper, pretty much. I do a lot of things on paper, or I have to print it and read it. I don't edit as well on a computer, and they make fun of me. I mean, I have a notepad and pencil at all times.
Well, you know what, Radine, do I say to something like that is let them.
Yes, let them. Yes.
Let them. Just let them. But, I have to tell you, Julie Kruger had given me kind of a heads up that somebody was going to be retiring. But then the night that you sent your retirement email, and I think it was about 7, 8 o'clock, and I was actually home that evening, and I was doing some work sitting on the couch, and I had my iPad, and your email came in, and my husband was sitting next to me, and I start reading, and he looks over, and he sees that I have a tear coming down my face. He goes, "Oh, my God, what's going on?" I said, "Radine's retiring." And I got all choked up, and he goes, "Do you have to cry?" And I said, "Well, I do. I am so happy for you.
Thank you.
So happy for you and the amazing career that you've had and all of the lives that you have touched. But I also knew that it was the end of an era coming up. And I knew Cheryl Salee, but for my time as mayor, you have been the director, right? You have overseen the Senior Activity Center, and I just know that things are going to be different. You have made such a wonderful, loving, welcoming place that is a second home for so many people. And when I read your message, you said that you thought you were starting a job, but instead you found your life's work. So at what point did you realize that this was more than a job for you?
So I always knew that I wanted to work with older adults. I mean, I'm the kid that in high school worked at the nursing home, and my grandmother was a caregiver. And so when I was very young, she would take me with her to people's...
Oh, that's sweet.
Like if she was babysitting me, I would go with her. So I always was very comfortable with that. And I knew I loved it. And then once I knew that, I didn't know there was such thing as senior centers. And then when I saw that, I was like, well, this is perfect because it's older adults, but they're not forced to be here. They want to be here. So it was like just the perfect thing for me. Every day is different because I get bored pretty easily. Every day is different. There is many times when you will have the same thing on your to-do list for a month.
Because it never got
done. And you've
done.
never done anything on the list. And my husband will often say, like, well, why didn't you do what you were supposed to do today? And it's like, well, because this person had this emergency, or someone didn't show up that was a volunteer, or Betty lost her husband and she needed somebody to talk to her for a little bit, or just different things like that.
Life happens.
Life happens.
That's why.
And when people from other centers ask me what is the most important thing about Auburn and the Auburn Senior Center, I will say we are so privileged to be supported by the city that we as staff get to do what's important. We don't have to worry about how the toilet paper is going to get paid for, how the lights are going to be kept on. And there's many centers where the people that, especially the nonprofits, those staff work so hard. Mm-hmm. Many of them do not get paid a livable wage. They do not get insurance. And they're working 12 hours a day. And a lot of that is not actually with the participants. It's just trying to keep the doors open. So we are so blessed. I don't remember ever in the 40 years being concerned that the basic necessities weren't provided.
I think that's one of the things that I am very, very proud of this community for, and for council who continues to approve the budget that we bring forward, is the understanding of how important an active and vibrant senior center is for a community. Mm-hmm. Right? We want people from birth till their final days to know that they are welcome and that they matter in our city. And it makes my day every time I get an opportunity to come to the senior center, because I know I'm going to see friends. I know I'm going to see people who feel loved and seen and heard, and they're having fun, and they're having a nutritious meal, and it may be the only one they're having that day.
Very much so, yeah.
But they are having all of those things, and they're thriving, and they're making friendships, and they're laughing, and I get drawn into all of that. And I think we both have people jobs, right? My to-do list may have the same things on it for a month as well, and but for the people, all of the other things would get done.
Correct.
But for the people, it wouldn't be as meaningful, right? So I have always appreciated your philosophy and your passion and compassion for the people that you're serving.
I've always believed that it is an honor to be able to be an intimate part of people's lives. And the people that are the everyday, that's it, we're it for them. Those people, I just feel like they are so important because they don't have anybody. And sometimes we have lots of people that come to the center that have lots of choices. They come for specific things. But the core group that are there every day and laughing and meeting their friends, the ones that say, oh, I hate Fridays. I can't wait till Monday,
so I can be back again.
It reminds me of what it was like to be in high school. Do you remember when all that mattered was your friend group?
Yes.
Or what they were doing? It's similar to that for those people that don't have family, or maybe they're estranged, or they have whatever reason, that becomes their place. We open at 8 o'clock in the morning, and there is always someone there at 10 to 8 waiting to get in. And we close at 5, and we are always giving a 10-minute warning for people to leave. That's probably a good thing.
It's a great thing. It means that the work that you're doing is important to them. And I know your days are long, and they can be emotional. They can be draining on you, but they can also give you so much joy.
Oh, way more joy. Way more joy.
So since 1986, when you started, the way that we think about our seniors has changed in so many ways. Can you share a little bit about what it was like in the beginning, other than having to try and find some way to make your 49 copies, how we felt about seniors then, and how the activities and the services and things have evolved over the course of your time?
So when I started, there was a core group, just like there's a core group now, but mostly ladies, Most of them were housewives. A lot of them were widowed. And if you volunteered at the senior center, I'll use Meals on Wheels as an example. The lady's name was Marion Mayer, and she ran our Meals on Wheels program, which we now have a staff person that does that.
Yes.
And she got there at 8, and she left at 4, 5 days a week. And she volunteered that whole entire time.
Wow.
And that wasn't weird.
Mm-hmm.
Now people volunteer, but we've had to change how we look at it because they want more flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to volunteer every day.
They don't want a job every day.
Which is fine and great and wonderful. But that was one thing. The other was the women that would come in that had been married for 50, 60 years and they didn't know how to write a check.
Oh, my word.
Many of them didn't drive
Mm-hmm.
because the people only had one car and the husband had to have that car.
Sure.
So the wives, a lot of them didn't even learn to drive. So it was kind of navigating their needs and things that they had. And also, how do you bring men in? How do you bring more active in? So we really started to open up the variety of things because at that time, a senior was, I can't remember if it was 55 or 60. It might have been 60.
I bet it was 60.
At that time. And so how do you bring in? Everybody was talking about the baby boomers at that time. How do you get them in? So we started getting really creative with hikes and walks and volleyball and baseball and different trips and different things. And you'd find then that you'd bring in this other group that no way would they be caught dead at a senior center. But this is awesome.
They would go on hikes.
This is great. Here we
trips.
go. And I don't have to drive. And the hike's planned. Someone scouted it. All that's great. And then as more and more time went on, I realized that then those people that came in just for something specific, as they aged, they were already comfortable in this space.
Mm-hmm.
And so then when they needed to get their toenails done or they couldn't cook anymore and they needed to cook, they were already comfortable in that space and they felt okay moving to the next level. And I think that's really important, and we still have that. You'll see it with our hikers. I laugh because I don't do the hikes anymore. I mean, I haven't done a hike in 20 years. Those people, I don't know who a lot of them are.
Really?
Because they come in.
For a specific thing.
They check in, they get in the van, and they go. And they don't need me. Mm-hmm. They need the programmers.
Right.
And so, but then you start seeing over the 20 years that I've been managing the center, I'm seeing now some of those people now are getting to be 80s or older. And now they're like, oh, I hang out at the center now, or I use the bus or something else.
More of the services. It sounds like the Auburn Senior Center was very progressive in its thought process on how to get more seniors in by doing those things instead of just assuming that it's a bunch of people sitting around talking about their aches and pains and maybe playing a game of pinochle. Right?
Correct.
So very forward thinking. I mean, I will tell you, my sweet mother, bless her soul, she passed away 2 years ago at 96. And I used to try and get her to come to the senior center. And she would say, I'm not old enough to go to the senior center. I could never convince her that it's not the senior center that she thought it was.
Correct.
Right. So I'm glad you do a better job of selling the senior center than I did with my mom, because it's amazing.
I think I'll use my mom for an example. My mom is 86, and she and my dad would participate in different things at the senior center over the years. They'd come to a special event, or they would go on a trip, or they'd go on a hike or something like that, but not hanging out at all.
Right.
15 years ago, my dad passes away. My mom she's got to have something. She starts volunteering at the senior center.
Oh.
Now, it's so funny. She's there a lot, but it's funny because people said to her, well, if Radine retires, does that mean you're leaving? And she's like, no. But it's very interesting.
Sure.
My mom wasn't at that place, but then you're comfortable. It's the other thing with volunteering. Oh, so many times. We do use volunteers to answer our phones. We use volunteers to make coffee.
You use a lot of
all the
volunteers.
lunch. We have about 180. But those every week jobs, like every Tuesday from 9 to 2, I'm answering the phone. Those start by someone who's newly retired. They want to do something, and they were in the workforce.
Yes, yes.
I have a skill. So then they start meeting people that they're helping, and then they realize that they've become friends with these people.
And they're being helped too.
And then they start doing things on their own, and then next thing you know, it's like, oh my gosh, I would have never walked in here, but it isn't the myth that I thought it was.
Right. It is such an amazing community, right? When I walk in, I see groups that I expect to see, playing dominoes, laughing, doing a puzzle. I love it when I get to come over for the coffee hours. There are certain people that I can always expect to be there sitting in the front or sitting in the back. There's always people that I can expect to walk in late. There are those that I can expect to be the first in line for the cookies or the donuts. But it's a community, and they may not always all agree, but I mean, that's like family, right? Do I always agree with my family? No.
Everybody has that uncle, right?
Right. Yes. And I love the feeling that I never walked into the senior center and felt sad.
The only time I've ever felt sad at the senior center is during COVID. And what I used to say,
I will take that back because I walked in there too.
Yes, but what I will tell you is I would go home and I'd say, the lack of laughter feels like sobbing and tears to me. It is too quiet.
That's powerful.
It is too quiet, and it's just like I would actually envision just like tears coming out of these empty walls, even though we were doing so much.
Remember the parade?
Yes, the parade, the taking out 150 meals
The
every
meals.
day, the drive-through special events, all those things. They were
Yes.
great, but it was very hard. But that's sad. Some people say it's too loud or they're making too much noise, they're laughing too much. And I said, I am never going to tell somebody that they are laughing too loud. Ever, ever.
There isn't such a thing.
Nope.
Because you're right. I will take back never walking in there and feeling sad, because I did walk into the senior center during COVID and it was quiet. The only reason I knew that it was okay, though, is because we were getting ready for the parade. That was so much fun. I will always remember all of the folks because they knew about what time it was going to be when we drove by their place.
Yeah, because they had to call and say, I want this parade to drive by my house.
Yes. And to have them outside and smiling and waving. And I will always remember Ethel.
Oh, gosh, yes.
I mean,
Yes.
Ethel would be dressed up.
I love you.
Yes, yes. And it meant so much to me, too, because that's how I fill my cup is by being with people. And I couldn't be.
Right.
And so to see these seniors who were so resilient during COVID and knowing that you and your team, Rocky and Megan, were doing their work, and Janet, and just doing amazing things to make sure that no one felt forgotten.
And really having to think outside of the box. And also no one's fault, but having to really test the waters and push.
Yes, yes.
Yet still be safe, still be that, but also be like, this isn't norm, so we can't do it as norm.
Right.
Please just let us try and don't make me fight so hard to be able to do something. That was very hard.
It was hard for us, I will tell you, at City Hall as well, because, there were so many mandates coming at the national level, at the state level, at the county level. It's like you turn around and there was some new requirement or something else was closing down, or the 6 feet apart and the masking, and it just it felt really lonely.
Oh, it was awful.
And for that time that we had to send everybody home, I was still working at City Hall every day. And not to hear laughter.
Oh, it's awful.
It is absolutely awful. So being back into
Yes,
the present.
in the good, the present.
Into the
So
good.
you asked again what was different.
Yes.
I thought about this the other night. So in 1986, the music that was being played was from the 30s and the 40s. We had the band there yesterday. We have a band twice a month, and they play all 60s and 70s music.
Oh, that hurts.
Is that? Yes.
That hurts, Radine.
Because I will tell you, when it was all 30s and 40s music, and I'd say, man, I wonder if when I'm old, if they're going to be playing some AC/DC. And they are.
They are.
But how great is that?
Yes.
How great is that?
Because it's good music.
But 40 years, that's a long time.
That is a long time.
And that's a lot of generations, because within each group of seniors, there's like 4 generations just in there.
Yes. Yes.
So, the wisdom, I especially think of the hikes, like you're hiking with people for 4 hours or whatever, and you're talking to them, oh my gosh, I got engaged. And they're telling me their stories about when they got engaged or when they got, and then it's like, oh my gosh, my mom's driving me crazy with this wedding. Did it, and they just would give you
perspective.
Yes. Perspective. It's okay in your 20s that things that are important in your 40s aren't, but it is nice to be gently reminded as opposed to be, what are you talking about? It was just a nice, did you have a relationship with your grandmother?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so I always say.
My great-grandmother.
Okay, but I always say that your parent has to be your parent.
Yes.
So they have to be tough. They have to be this. They have to make sure that
They have to parent.
But your grandparent or great-grandparent, they've done that. They know you're going to be okay. Mm-hmm. They'll keep your secrets. They'll be honest with you. They will share all that wisdom without the, oh my God, it's my daughter.
Right. What am I supposed to do? I'm her parent.
So I had hundreds, if not thousands, of people that sometimes we'd have a conversation. We'd look at each other and be like, wait a minute, you're old. You're not supposed to talk about that. Or, wait a minute, I'm young. I'm not supposed to tell you that I did that or whatever. But we're all people. It doesn't matter.
No. But now that you say that, you had a lot of life-changing events happen to you while you've been in these 40 years at.
Everybody has in 40 years.
But I mean, they've seen you go through your wedding.
Yep.
The birth of your two beautiful daughters. The retirement of your husband.
Mm-hmm. I was married 9 months when Steve's mom, at 59, my mother-in-law, we had to care for her, and she died of cancer.
Oh my gosh.
Now, I was probably 25 years old, had never
experienced anything like that.
They were so supportive. They were the one that, now when I would go to my mom, she just felt my pain so deeply that she couldn't be objective in what that. Whereas they would just say, "Oh, I've done that. You're doing a good job. Keep it up." It's huge because you never think that in your 20s, after you've been married 9 months, you're going to have to move into a house and care for a 59. You just
no, you never think,
and you're
that.
Not prepared for that,
right?
And I remember a hospice nurse said to us, like, you guys haven't even had children. Like, this is a huge lift, but so many people, they're there. And I think of my grandmother used to come to the senior center a lot. Her and Ida Mae, they were good friends. And so when she passed away, or when, my kids went away to college, all those life things that they have a different perspective on. Mm-hmm. And just being privy to all that wisdom is pretty Good.
That is a gift. So you mentioned Ida May Struve.
Yes.
And when I was at Auburn High School, she was in the attendance office, and we called her Groovy Struvey.
Mm-hmm.
Was she ever called that at the senior center?
She was. So Ida May Struve, so any of you old-time Auburnites will know that her and her husband owned a record store and a jewelry store on Main Street.
Right across from City Hall.
And Ida May worked at the high school. And she had recently retired and started going to yoga or aerobic classes or something at the senior center. And back in those days, a senior was on the interview panel, a participant. And Ida May was that participant that was on the interview panel. And I could just see her right now. I wish she was here because the story would get bigger and bigger every time she told it, as opposed to the real story. But the real story was, they gave me my goodbye party as an intern at the Renton Senior Center. I hopped in the car. My car was full of balloons and gifts and cards. Drove to Auburn, walked in and had my first big girl job interview ever. I had been crying at this party they had given me. I come in. I'm nervous, but I'm also very amped up after just receiving all this love and everything. I go in there, and she would tell this story. Oh, my gosh, she had mascara all over her face and this and that. And she just put her face on the, up forward and her hand on the table, and she just loved on us.
Aww.
And she just was like, she was a mess, but we knew right then she was it. So then I started 7 days later, and Ida May was one of our volunteers. So, of course, she felt like she knew something other people didn't, and we hit it off. And any of you that know Ida May Struve know that she lived till 102.
Bless her heart.
And her family moved away, but she was not leaving us.
No.
She wouldn't. She tried. She left for about maybe 6 weeks. And I remember I was on vacation in Colorado, and I got a call from her son saying, I don't know what to do. She's here, but she says she's leaving.
And there was no stopping her either.
There was no stopping her. And so over the years, people think I went to Auburn High School. And the reason they think that is because all the stories she would tell me, like I don't know this about my own school, but I know that at Auburn High, if you came to borrow something, a stapler or scissors or whatever, you had to leave your, do you know?
Your ID?
Your shoe.
Oh, I guess maybe I never had to borrow anything from her.
You have to leave
but yes,
your
yes.
shoe. And then I guess she had lemon drops.
She did have lemon drops. Not the drinking kind.
No, the little
candies, the hard candies.
And she would tell me stories about, oh, yeah, this person who now is like a business person in Auburn. Oh, them and they dated and they were the this or that. And you should have seen the fight they got in this one time. And I had to get the lemon drops out or this. So I knew like all this scoop. Plus, we had retired high school teachers that were participants. Dawn Black, Jean Serino, Marv Coles. And there was only one high school.
Yes.
Which meant there was one driving teacher, right?
Yeah, Mr. Serino.
Correct. So people would start coming into the senior center that were younger on the end, and they, on the younger end, and they'd see Gene Serino, and they'd be, oh my gosh, he taught me how to drive. Mm-hmm. Or you'd have parents that were like Gene's age that would be like, my kid has been an awful driver, and you're the one that taught them. So because Auburn was so much smaller, there was only 21,000 people when I started. Mm-hmm. So it was so much smaller that it was all intertwined.
It was really one big family, right? And it felt like everybody knew everybody.
Very railroad, almost.
Oh, very.
You either retired from the railroad or you retired from Boeing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very true. And Mr. Serino, even though he served on the city council and I was on the city council, and I would call him Mr. Serino, and he'd go, "Oh, Nancy, call me Gene." I'm sorry, I can't. You were the wrestling coach, you were a PE teacher, and you were my driving teacher. and you're Mr. Sereno. And it wasn't until the year that he retired that I called him Gene.
Uh-huh.
I couldn't do it.
Oh, of
It's
course.
the respect
Yes.
thing, right?
Yes.
So you've seen a lot of people go through the senior center. And I know this is going to be difficult for you to just pare it down to two, but two of your strongest memories of your time at the senior center.
So this one memory I have is of we took a hiking group to the Canadian Rockies. We had a group, and we were hiking, and one of the women that were there, her husband was there too. It was her 80th birthday. Now, you got to remember that back there, 80 was like, what is it now? 80's, 100's the new 80, or 80's the new 100, or whatever,
Yes.
you know. It goes backwards. But 80 was that was a big deal.
That was a big deal.
And she's hiking the Rockies, and I remember we were having dinner at this dude ranch, and she looked at me and she said, "Oh my gosh, it's my 80th birthday today. This is one of the best days of my life."
Oh,
And I thought, wow, I'm sitting and experiencing the same day as one of their best days of their life. Like, that's cool,
that's
I
a
think.
big deal.
That's a big deal. So that's one of them. I think another one is, over the years, the people that come to the center and their cognitive ability or different things, it's changed. I don't know the reason why, but it has changed. We have more people that might have special needs, mental illness, things like that. And some of the best days, Valley Cities brings usually 15 to 20 people to our special events. And if there's a band or music, they are out there dancing. They don't know a lot of our people because they don't come very often.
Doesn't matter.
But
There's
our
music.
regulars are out there. If they're in a wheelchair, one of our regulars will go and get them, and the smiles on
I've
their
witnessed that.
face.
I have witnessed that.
Because they don't have a lot.
Right.
And that's a pretty simple thing. But that's another one that's really, really high up there for me.
Yes. Oh, I've been to some of those dances after lunch, and being able to dance with Simi, right? Or Tommy even came in one time, and I did a little swing with him a little bit, and this sounds really corny, but it's just magical. You don't have to worry about what you look like. You may not have any rhythm at all, but that music is going, and you're just happy.
It's like the true life. It's just the truth. It's just being.
Real.
It's so real. There's no judgment. And people are just having fun. One of them, where a lot of people were dancing, someone came up to me and she said, "Some of those people that were out there dancing, I've never even seen them stand up and walk to the bathroom." But that's what's so great about it.
Yes.
And I do feel like we're a safe place. We really work hard. Bullying or being mean is just not tolerated.
No. And it shouldn't be.
We have a code of conduct, and we follow it. Now, I often say the easiest thing would be to kick somebody who's a pain in the butt out and let them never come back again.
I bet they need it more than the others.
Nancy, that's exactly what I say. And then I say, how are we going to creatively set a boundary, but also work together? Okay, if you do X, you're doing that, so you are going to have to leave. But if you do all these other things, you're fine. And if I notice that you're having a problem, we need to come up with something that, before it gets out of control, got to take a break, buddy. And for a while, there was a time in Auburn when homelessness was very prevalent.
Yes.
A lot of homeless people were coming to the center. But what was funny was, if you were impaired, you couldn't come in. If you didn't follow the rules, you couldn't come in. One time I walked in front of the fireplace and somebody had a clothesline up and had all their stuff. And I'm like, nope.
Not
gotta go.
happening here.
But then the people that realized this is a great place and all I have to do is just follow these rules. So then it became, if anybody came in that they knew from the streets that wasn't, get out of here. Don't ruin it for me. And so there's always been known what the expectations are, but we'll help you get there.
Sure.
But it's just not allowed.
But there are
to be
no.
yeah.
It's compassion, accountability, and community
Yes.
that I
Yes.
use because we are always going to have compassion for people. But you have to hold them accountable, or there is no community.
Right. Yes. And it's not fair, but everybody needs to give a little.
Right.
And my thing I say often when people are upset about someone's behavior or something, I always say, I don't think that person woke up in the morning and said, I want to go in and make
Oh, absolutely not.
Betty's life awful today.
No.
Something has happened, just like it happens to everybody. And we need to give people that grace that there's something going on.
And, I think the thing that we don't ask enough, right? You may agree or disagree with something that someone has said or done. And we are so quick to judge without maybe seeking to understand why, right? Instead of the cancel culture or you're this horrible person, maybe ask, why are you doing this? What's going on? What caused you to do that? And in the words of, be curious, not judgmental, right? Ask questions, find out why. And that's exactly what you have done to create ways for people to be able to stay in that safe, comfortable place that they know they belong and they can have that warm meal and they can have friendships.
And the why is really important. I think as time has gone on, government gets a lot of rules.
Yes, we do.
Or a lot of just life in general, things that are allowed or not allowed or this or that. I have found explaining the why makes it much easier. And usually if people understand the why, they may not like it, but they are able to understand. So I am very transparent about the whys of some things.
And Radine, you kind of touched on it, but when you started back in the 80s, the needs of the participants, at least not that they were willing to share, weren't as great or significant as the needs now.
Right. I think, like you said, some maybe didn't share. I think that probably there were many women that had been in very, very long marriages with maybe abusive relationships or never got to speak their truth or anything. It was just like they were seen but not heard, that type of thing. That has changed, but there was a time as that change happened where those people were then willing to share things. And it was, sometimes it maybe was easier that it was all kept. Like when it starts coming up.
When it bubbles up.
There's some hard stuff.
Yes.
And so, and now, like, people talk about everything now, or it's very common for a senior now to talk about one of their kids or grandkids that are LGBTQ, and they would have never said that. Like, nobody ever would have admitted that or said that back then. So there's some things that are really good, or we'll have talks or classes about things that are current, and we'll have people that say, I don't really care about this, but I need to know about it so I can talk to my grandkids. So I understand what they're saying.
Right.
And so we really push the envelope on a lot of those things. We don't force people to come, but
it's really good because the acceptance and the understanding, right? And you don't always have to agree with what anyone else is doing, But if it's not impacting you,
Mm-hmm.
why should it matter?
Mm-hmm.
And you're teaching acceptance and love and understanding, and our community is a better place because of that. And the seniors that you have been working with are out in the community, and they're teaching that to their kids and their grandkids. And we need to spread more of that.
Absolutely, because there's been, in the last 10 years, a lot of really big things that have changed.
Yes.
And some of them are very uncomfortable and hard for me too. And so it's how do we all work through this together and not be judgmental and still be able to say with respect what you feel, but then learn and understand. And I think we have done a really good job at that. Not 100% successful.
Well, we have,
but
it's people,
but
right?
yes,
We're never going to get 100% because it's people, but
just I'm proud of our staff. I'm proud of us for we've always pushed the envelope a bit.
Mm-hmm. And that's why you've been so successful, and it's a vibrant place to be. Yeah. It's comfortable, but there are times when it's okay to be comfortably uncomfortable as well.
Yes. And people getting along. Like I said, the high school cliques. It's can be very similar. And then it's, no, you don't own that chair.
Right.
Yes, you normally sit there, but you don't own it. And if someone's there, you don't get to get mad at them. Those kinds of things, which are just working with people.
Yes, yes. So tell me a little bit about Tommy being there, because Tommy, every time I go, has something to give me a bad time about. And I've known Tommy since I was 7 years old. Mm-hmm. But Tommy has been there for quite a while. So tell me how that came about.
So Tommy Swanlin is 81.
Is he really?
He's either 80 or 81. I think it's 81 now. And what I remember from Tommy in the 80s is Tommy worked at M&O. Mm-hmm. He washed the windows. He swept the garages. He was there when I'd go fill up gas in the van, mm-hmm. things like that. That was his job. That's what he did. And that's all I knew of him. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, then in 2008, during the recession and things like that, he was of retirement age, and he had worked for the city for like 30 years.
Yes.
So he retired. Well, I got a call from his supervisor at M&O and said, Tommy is not understanding that he's retired, and he shows up for work every morning. Mm-hmm. Do you have any volunteer job or anything? Because it's just not, he's coming to work. I said, yes. For 18 years, he shows up at the senior center every morning, checks in with me like, good morning, boss, I'm here. And he makes the coffee, he serves coffee, he washes every dish at lunch, 5 days a week. Now people come in, like you said you've known him since you were 7. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, you were the guy that played the music at the skating rink when I was a kid.
Yeah.
All the time. This morning, a gentleman, a planner from Aging and Disability Services came, and I introduced him to Tommy, told him that he used to work for the city, things like that. And then Tommy looked at me, he's like, but I worked at the skating rink. Did you ever come? Because I spun the dice and I played the music. And
yes, he did.
The guy's like, no. But I'm glad you did that. But he is so recognizable to anybody that grew up in Auburn.
Oh, yes. He used to ride around on a red bicycle.
Yes, yes. Back to Ida Mae, she told me that he used to come in the record store all the time. And on Fridays, she would drive him to Seattle with her to go pick up the new records.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, it's just because he loved listening on the headphones. Yes. Back in the day, you'd listen to the headphones to the records.
The connections in this community.
Correct. And so I think while I did not grow up in Auburn as a child,
you did grow up in Auburn.
I did grow up in Auburn, and I feel like because of all those connections and the stories I've heard over and over and over, I feel like I was there, even though I wasn't. Mm-hmm. And that's so special, those connections.
Yes. Off air, you'll tell me if you heard any stories about me, right?
Oh, wow. Yes, I will.
So, Radine, June 15th
June 15th.
is your last get up.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to know, what do you want to be remembered most for?
I want to be remembered most for providing for every senior, and in a very, I don't know if selfish is the right word or not, that we're one of the best senior centers in the state, and that I have been so fortunate over the years to have people that are in this profession all over the state of Washington say, I was told to call you. I was told I need to talk to you. Today, the Aging and Disability Service guy, he was in his maybe late 20s, and he said, I was told you will tell me the truth, whether I like it or not. And I said, you're right,
That's
I will,
true.
but I'm also going to do it respectfully, and I'm also going to give you my ideas for solutions, and how can I work with you to solve that problem? I'm not going to just tell you that something's bad. Yes.
And dump it.
And he, at the end of our big long thing, he said, you do not know how great this was. People are afraid to tell me what we really should be doing because Aging and Disability Service is the funder. So they don't want to tell you. But how can we change anything if we don't know?
Exactly right. You can't fix a problem you don't know exists.
No. So I want to be known for the place that people knew they could get good information about how to operate a senior center, and the place that everybody was welcome.
So we've talked about a lot of things. What haven't we talked about that you want us to know?
How important it is to have a supportive city, council, parks department, and a team where if you ask, people will show up and help. I think that's super important, and not everybody understands that or gets that. I think it's also really important that people in Auburn understand this isn't the way it is everywhere. And many people will come here from somewhere else, or they will move, and they'll say, I didn't know other senior centers weren't like this. We thought this, because this is the only thing we knew, we thought this was senior centers, but it's not. We are the minority. We should be the norm.
Mm-hmm. And you've got a wicked group of seniors that like to play volleyball and pool.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they are wicked.
And you should see those
And
pickleball players now.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. Yes. And those are the next people
Yes.
that will start, it's a cycle. I must say, I have been doing a lot of reflecting, and it's hard now to think that the majority of the people that were part of my life are dead. And then you think, gosh, I remember what happened, but no one else does because they're all gone. Did it matter? And I have to keep not tricking my brain, but reminding myself, it mattered so much.
It matters a lot.
It doesn't matter that I'm the only one that remembers now.
Right. I've heard a quote one time that said, you don't truly die until the last person that knew you is also passed.
That is very true, probably. Yeah.
So one last question. June 15th, do you have a plan for the day and what your last few moments are going to be like before you walk out the door?
I will be in tears. Yeah, I'm just being really honest.
We all will be.
I will be in tears. I will be scared. I am excited to spend time with my husband. And nowadays, people seem to get married later, have kids later. They do a lot of exciting things, travel all over. we didn't do those things. We were just poor and married and happy and working and raising our families. And now our families, we put them through, our daughters, we put them through college. They both have jobs and careers. And it's time for us to do what I have encouraged people to do my whole career. Go have fun. Live your best life and push yourself to do things that you have never done before. Because I gave so many people permission to push the envelope and play.
I love that, Radine. You have given, I'm going to do this without crying.
I know. How am I going to?
But you have given people life, right? I know that they call you Little Mama, right? You have been a parent to some of them. You have been a daughter, a granddaughter, just a friend, a confidant, someone who cares about them when maybe no one else does, or they feel like no one else does. They come to you in their most difficult moments, or they come to you in their most joyous moments, and you have shared with them. And I am so thankful that you were willing to come today and share with us what some of the last 40 years have looked like for you. You have been a true gift to this community. You have been a friend to me, and I will always be grateful that you have been supportive. You even took me with you to one of the senior center conferences, and I was so proud to be there and hear people go, "Oh, Radine, she's awesome. She's amazing." Yes, she is.
Thank you. That means a lot. I appreciate it. This is my life, and this is what I know. And I have watched like special events in the department grow to huge. And I have told Christy and Julie, like, I am so excited to volunteer for the special events because I'm at them all the time anyway, and I love them. That's like my favorite big thing. So I do see myself volunteering at different things.
You'll be back for the Santa breakfast?
Yes.
Okay, and Steve.
Yes. So
good.
My husband and I have been doing the Santa breakfast since 1986. When we got married, he found out that he doesn't get a choice. And my girls were the same, especially my youngest. And it was very funny because she's a little sassy. And she said, "What about the Santa breakfast?" And I said, "Well, they said that we can still volunteer. They really want you. You guys have been doing pancakes forever there." And she goes, "Does that mean that you won't boss anybody around though, Mom?" Because if you're volunteering, you got to zip it. So we will always be part of this community. I've been involved with the food bank and Debbie for so long and things like that that are just very, very important to my whole family.
Yes.
So I'm not going anywhere.
That's why I'm not going to ever say goodbye to you. I will,
and there's no need
say,
to.
See you next time.
Yes, absolutely.
So thank you, Radine, for being with us today. And more importantly, thank you for the gifts that you have given this community for the last 40 years. Few people can say that they have spent their entire career at one place, providing so much joy and happiness and a shoulder to cry on. You have been amazing. It's the relationships that you've built. You've helped create lives after time when some people may not have felt vital any longer. You have created a life for them, and I am so grateful to you, and I am so proud to have been able to work with you and learn from you. And I want you to know that I wish you nothing but the very best in your retirement when you're not volunteering here in Auburn. And thank you for spending the time with us, and thank you for caring so much about this community.
Thank you, and thank you for always supporting what we do and supporting me in our work. So thank you very much, Mayor.
It's very easy to do. All right. Well, thank you for being with us today, listening to the way Radine has helped shape this community for so many. And please join us next time. Thank you.
Thank you.